just when you thought it was all over, the 2021 Formula One season has a little bit more to give. We're still here at Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi for the post-season test. Now this test is a little bit different. As we walk past the new reigning world champions, the Mercedes-AMG Formula One team, it's a different situation. Each team is running two cars. One of the cars is the car that took part in the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, a 2021 specification Grand Prix car. Now that car must be driven by a young driver. Nick de Vries, the Formula E world champion, is in the 2021 Mercedes. Not sure if it's Lewis Hamilton or Valtteri Bottas's chassis. But almost every team has also built a mule car, as we call them. Now, mule cars are older Formula One cars that have been adapted to suit the 2022 wheel and tyre package. And for those who follow this sort of stuff on this channel on a regular basis will know that the 2022 wheels, tyres, brakes, they're all significantly different to the wheels and tyres used in this season's Formula One World Championship. And so it takes a bit of adapting. And those mule cars, that test program is actually controlled by Pirelli. Red Bull here, and you can't see it because there's some work going on Max Verstappen's car. Max Verstappen isn't driving the Red Bull RB16B that he won this year's World Championship in. He's actually driving the RB15 that he drove in 2019. And that car is fitted with the new parts, but as you can see, there's a bit of work going on there. Then down in this side of the garage, also out on track at the moment, is one of Red Bull's young drivers in the World Championship winning car. Again, not sure if it is Perez's car or Verstappen's car. Suspect it's probably Perez's car. And to build these cars is actually a bit of a challenge for each team, because it's not just a case of sticking a set of new wheels and tyres on. Because the wheels are such a different shape and size, and there's more information on that coming up later on, they have to really change quite a lot of parts on the car. And we'll see that down here at McLaren. You can see the front brake setup very clearly here on the McLaren being driven by Daniel Ricciardo. Now look how much bigger than normal the front brake drums are. That's because the brake discs themselves are physically bigger. And because there's less movement in the sidewalls of the new Pirelli tyres, the front suspension has to be changed as well. So you can see much larger than normal components underneath the vanity panel. And that's what the engineers here are just looking at, because the loads that go through the front suspension and the rear suspension of these mule cars is very, very different to the load that would go through the 2021 car, which would run on those higher profile tyres. And a lot of the suspension movement on the tyres comes from the sidewall. Now down at Aston Martin, they've got a slightly different situation. Because you're not allowed to use a 2021 car to build your mule car, you have to use an older car. Aston Martin, their mule car is actually a Racing Point RP20, a car more often seen in pink than green, and possibly silver if you want to go right back into its history. But then they're also running their 2021 car. Nick Yuli is here in this car. He's just getting ready to go out for a run in his number 34. Now each driver also gets to pick a new number, and they have that number for 2 years, and no other driver can take it. But if they don't compete in Formula One, they could lose that number. Cars, numbers that are unavailable, obviously all those used at the moment, but also the number 7 of Kimi Räikkönen can't be reused again for another couple of seasons. Down here at Alpine, interesting situation. Reigning Formula 2 champion, newly crowned Formula 2 champion, has been super quick all day so far in the A521. Now let's think about the history of this chassis. The A521 actually started life as a Renault, and that Renault was then developed and became the Alpine. But on this side of the garage, it's out on track at the moment, painted black, is Renault's mule car. And wait here, because it's going to come and see us. Now, the difference between the mule car and the A521, the Alpine, is more than skin deep. So here's the front wing of the mule car, and you'll see how much more complex it is than you would normally see on a 2021 car. Look at all the extra elements you see around here. huge amount of the wonderful sticky uppy bits on here. And then we'll see if we take a look at the A521's front wing down here. This is a 2021 front wing. Look at how much more simple that is. That's the rule changes. Now, it makes the old Renault front wing there look like something from another era, and that's, well, because it is. But this front wing on the Alpine is also something from another era. These front wings are no more. There will be a completely different look to the front end of next year's cars. And I'm hearing that they're going to be quite interesting and very different to one another. I'm just waiting for you to see the mule come in from Alpine, because you really do see the difference on Alpine between a mule car, here it comes, and a current car. So there's the Alpine nose, but let's have a look at the mule. And you can see on the mule here, very different shaped car. Very complex front wing, and at least Alpine are not trying to really pass off this mule car as exactly the same as this year's Alpine. Some teams are sort of saying, oh no, it's just the same car. They've even painted it different. But that's actually a Renault, not an Alpine. Though you could argue that because they all share the same chassis, the same monocoque, those 2019 Renaults and 2020 Alpine, they're all the same. So you could make that argument. I'm not sure that Alpine would agree. Ferrari, similar situation, running an old car and a new car. The mule cars are not all about performance. They're all about actually developing and driving those tyres forwards. And it's not the teams that are in control of the test program on the for the mule cars. That's all looked after and run by Pirelli. They tell the teams what to do. And the teams don't really get a huge say in how they run, what tyres they go on. And through the race weekend, or through the test even, each team has the option to run a different set of one of the 5 different Pirelli compounds. But on the Ferrari here, there's something I want you to take a look at. Have a look at these. These are the new wheel covers that every team will run in 2022. I think this is probably one of the first time that we've really seen these out on track in their final iteration. Now, the reason the team aren't covering any of this stuff up is it's not secret at all. Every single team has to use absolutely identical components. So these wheel covers are what we're going to see on every single car. Now, what I expect we're going to see is that the teams are going to have sponsors, logos, and things like that on. But what they probably don't want us to take too good a look at is the tyres themselves. So the C1, the C2, the C3, the C4 and the C5 tyre are all available from Pirelli for the teams. But the team don't really have a say on which one they run. So moving on, down here at Alpha Tauri, car 40. It's a new number for those who like that sort of thing. 2021 specification car here. But take a look here, Yuki Tsunoda in the mule car. This is actually a Toro Rosso, not an Alpha Tauri. Gets confusing, doesn't it? But look at the front brakes here. So Alpha Tauri, rather than adapt to Toro Rosso's brakes to the new, larger front brake discs, what they've done is they've taken older specifications. I'm guessing that's either a 2021, 2020 or 2019 specification front brake package and fit that on the car. But you can see that big spacer plate. That's because the wheels are much bigger. And one of the things they're going to be struggling with is the gap between the brake disc and the wheel rim. Yuki Tsunoda really doesn't want to get out of this car. He said at the beginning of the test that he would start driving at 9 a.m, finish driving at 6 p.m. when today's session finishes, and only get out for 10 minutes to eat some lunch. And for Yuki Tsunoda, eating lunch is really quite a priority, and he's right about that. Alfa Romeo, similar situation. What young driver in one car, more experienced driver in the other. The young driver, of course, they're running is Guan Yu Zhou. And seeing some Ferrari engineers in the Alfa Romeo garage. If you're wondering why that is, well, the Alfa Romeo is fitted with a Ferrari engine and power unit, so that's not a great surprise. But down here, car 7 is no longer an Alfa Romeo, but car 77 is. Valtteri Bottas is getting his first taste with the Sauber engineering-built Alfa Romeo C38. That's right, I didn't get that wrong. This is a 2019 Alfa Romeo, the first of the current generation of Alfa Romeos, but it's still built by Sauber, and sometimes I still do call them Sauber. It's Sauber Engineering who built the cars, Alfa Romeo who raced them. Strange situation down here at Haas as well. Now, the Haas team, they're running out. You can see they've only got one garage door. Well, actually 2 garage doors open now. No, only one garage door open. And one of the reasons that this garage door is shut, number 47, Nikita Mazepin, he's come down with COVID. He's unable to take part in the test. Also, the Haas team, as we know, are rather short on monocoques. They've only got 2 chassis left. There is one behind that door, and it's being prepared for Pietro Fittipaldi, who will be running that car tomorrow. It's one of the mule cars. But today, we take a look at this number 47 car being built by Mick Schumacher, driven by Mick Schumacher. Now have a look at the front brakes here. Now, this is quite an interesting approach. This is the really first chance to get a detailed look at the front brake package on the Haas. Now, the reason, again, the team aren't being too secretive about this car is this is a 2019 Haas VF19, not the same as the ones that race. So that's the mule car that Haas are running here. And it'll be interesting to see those different brake packages. I think that's going to be a little bit of an area of development as Valtteri Bottas goes out on track. And that's going to be one of the major areas of development this season. But there are parts in that area of the car that if you make an innovation on your upright or your axle, you have to share it with every other team in the pit lane. That's new for Formula One. And one team that isn't going to be getting any data from this test session, at least not on the 2022 cars, is the team that has a car out on track and not in the garage, is Williams. They didn't build a 2022 mule car, and they, as far as I understand, they weren't planning originally to take part in this test, but then decided to take part in the young driver portion of the test, just the first day of the test, with a 2021 car. But no mule car from the team based in Grove in Oxfordshire in England. So I think that was just a nice, very quick whistle-stop tour of pre-season testing, post-season testing here at Yas Marina in 2021. But it's all eyes on 2022.